Downtown Daniel here, finishing up part 2 of what I started last Friday. Now we're into Tuesday, coming into the end of April. Let me finish up my post-Easter Passover message as we move forward to make sure you know what I'm about. Some things I didn't mention at the onset. I'm producer-director, Downtown Daniel Evans, founder of the Brothers and Sisters of Humanity and Speak Up America, NoHo Live, the Tuskegee Toddlers Fund, and what I'm doing here today, Messages to the World. I'm also the co-founder of the Cathedral of the Night Outdoor Church for the Homeless and Needy here in Northampton, Mass. We're right off the campus of Smith College. And of course, I am sole author of the Arbery Brooks New Deal 2020 and the Taylor Floyd Honesty and Equitable Amendment. I call them the People's Resolution Ballots. I've been through D.C. a half dozen times meeting with different senators and congressmen. Spent a lot of time in the Great Lakes region, especially out of Michigan, where I still vote and we love our governor. Love our governor here too. But bottom line of all of this is these people's ballot resolutions are fueled and programmed to reflect what the people tell me on the streets when we do Speak Up America and my veterans events. To get to it, we promote saving bodies, souls, minds, and futures. Cures instead of Band-Aids. Tours that I go on are because we love our children and our babies. I have 4 sons, 2 surviving, 2 deceased. But our clan has grown through them to 12 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. And I do this in my later ages. I just turned 72 in January, not only for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, but for everybody else's, even those in MAGA in 2025. Maybe they aren't working to save a better future for their descendants, but I'm working on it for everybody. So, we the people must decree by referendum ballot and ratify constitutionally, as Mr. Biden said when he was in office, many things that must become constitutional. Downtown Daniel here again. This time we're at the second level of Thorns, inside of Jackson and Connor men's clothing store. We have the owner here who is one of our new proud supporters for our homeless veterans program and our Feed the Needy on the streets. I'd like for him to give a word of what prompted him to step up to the plate and take an active role in our situation.
I'm Will Rideau. I'm the new owner of Jackson and Connor in Thorns Marketplace. We just care a lot about the homeless in the area in particular, and also for our veterans who have served and sacrificed, given us so much. And it's really important that we take care of them, take care of the people who have given us so much.
And as I've said before, to all of you folks out there listening, that's the Tuskegee Airmen's Homeless Veterans Fund. You can send any donation to the People's Bank, Holyoke, Mass. 01040, simply listed as Tuskegee Airmen, and it'll go right into the fund. God bless all of you out there, and thank you.
Thank you.
We are blessed with having had a past relationship with Joe where when I was first starting the Tuskegee Airmen's Homeless Veterans Fund, which raises money for the homeless and veterans to help out with food and whatever needs they have. He was kind enough to help me secure some tickets to raffle off from the Celtics. Then he had his expandable brass band play at a show for us a couple of years back after that at the American Legion right up behind the high school.
Bay State, yeah.
Right.
The Bay State.
And he has been a local pillar and a definite supporter of veterans and helping out when he can to support the homeless cause. And he can tell you a little more about how long he's been here, whatever.
I've actually been here for 40 years. This year was my 40th anniversary. We actually had a big party out in the parking lot in June where 6 different bands played. I was in 3 of them, and it wasn't the Expandable Brass Band though. The Expandable Brass Band is a really fun group. We had a really good time playing for that show that you did at the VFW in Bay State. It was, it's not really my band. It's really a horn band, and I just play tenor banjo in it, you can barely hear me most of the time. So banjo's not loud enough.
Well, like we say, it isn't about the one person, it's about the collective sound.
Uh-huh.
But also, when we have our support also goes as far as the Cathedral on the Night, which is an outdoor homeless church for the homeless right here on the streets. And we look forward to more of a relationship in the future, and I know I'll be here helping out wherever I can in the city, and Joe has always done his best to make this a better town and city, which we all love to live in.
Yes,
Thank
we do.
you.
Thank you.
These amendments will provide effective efficacy to solving many of the woes and atmospherics in America's socio-ethnic economic atmosphere. Here we go. Now, as the fourth wheel of government, we must end our civil war. So to speak, white privilege, misogyny, bigotry, all of it must cease to exist and be thought of human privilege, period. We offer a format that will provide skin in the game, a piece of the pie, and no one raked over the coals. And they will become reality if we institute this. I think I said it earlier in part 1, but remember that as a staple of the bottom line end game. The destitute become working poor become middle class comes to a point where they might see upper middle class, and the way we have it worked out, the affluent remain affluent. We not only free up over $3 trillion nationally, which is spread amongst local, county, regional, state, and federal, but these freeing of dollars, we also create a perpetual stimulus instead of then giving everybody a check that's gone so fast you didn't know was deposited, and we're right back to where we were. Everybody's broke again anyway. These initiatives blueprint and outline the roadmap, as I say, to social, ethnic, economic, equitable equality. No one will have cause or need to say, it's because of the other guy you're not getting ahead, and they're making it for them to get ahead instead of you. These thoughts, ideas, and ideals will cease to exist. Do the math. We can create a deficit-free America. And find these amendments on YouTube I have readings of them, and you can find a bio of me on Mass Live by Laura Newberry if you want to know more about Daniel the person. Now, let's get to the meat. The meat started with the 1944 State of the Union address. I know I said it an hour or so ago, but it's been a while, so I want to make sure these things sink in as I finish up what'll be part 2 of this post-Easter presentation. FDR's last address, he called a second Bill of Rights, or economic Bill of Rights. And with these atmospherics, oh, as Picard would say on Star Trek The Next Generation, oh, America definitely needs a new economic future. Okay, he said, in our day, these economic truths have become accepted as self-evident. We have accepted, so to speak, a second Bill of Rights under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of race, station, creed, or, in today's world, sexual preference. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job in the industries or shops or farms and mines of our nation, anywhere you work at all, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation, the right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him, her, and their family a decent living, the right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom for unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad, or ridiculous tariffs, I will add that he didn't say, that are rocking the boat. The right of every family to a decent home and being able to keep it if they have it. The right to adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health. The right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. And obviously, the right to a good education. All of these rights spell security. They spelled it then, at the end, coming up to the end of World War II, and the atmospherics obviously illustrate the need for them now. We must be prepared to move forward in the implementation of these rights to new goals of human happiness and well-being. I don't think anything, then or now, could be said more directly and true, and the efficacy, the proof is in the pudding of the need. If you look around you and you can't see it, then I do not know what you're looking at except an abyss of darkness that leads us to nowhere. Okay. This was an introduction I wrote to everything that came after it many moons ago. I don't have a date on it, but I would guess it's somewhere around 2020, 2022. Only the elected can determine how we, the people, live. Not someone that someone elected sends in with the chainsaw to saw the boat apart to the point it's like a Humpty Dumpty that can't be put back together again. But only the elected can determine how we, the people, live. independence of personal pursuits of happiness may not be infringed upon, impeded, or restrained. As Joe Biden said, this staple has to become constitutional. So the Supreme Court can't say what is the intent. I don't think I left any wiggle room for them to play us on that one. And not all people, but too many people think they're playing a game. Go back into our founding fathers' heads and thoughts and say, well, they must have meant this. We, the people, will go by what they have written, not by what someone today thinks they meant by what was written. We would appreciate the best thoughts, opinions, and criticism. We need a People's Congress event, and will represent and fashion final additions and adjustments to the amendments. And I have mentioned earlier in part one, my pick out of all the humans with influence in America is a retired judge called Luttage. He's respected by Democrat, Republican, Independent, the big money moguls. There isn't anyone in America who does not respect his opinion. This man, in our lifetime, in these atmospherics, is the closest thing to Madison himself that we have that would work for us. So I've asked, I won't say their names because we're on public TV, but I've asked certain senators on both sides and Congress people and the NAACP and NAN, who I have close associations with, to implore him to take this up. I've been invited to the NAACP convention in mid-July, and I will be speaking to the total assembly that is there to implore him to take this task up. We definitely need a today's People's Congress, Continental Congress, from all 50 states. We, the people, well, let's put it this way. I'll ask all brothers and sisters of humanity, and you're not card carriers, it's what's in your heart that makes me know you're one, to endeavor to find the fortitude of Sam Adams, America's first patriot, when before Bunker Hill, he said, we must muster all of our courage. We must summon the fortitude to prevail. And I think every last one of us today knows over the last 3 months what we need to prevail against. The atmospherics have put it all in a pudding that does not taste sweet. We, the people, must have all avenues of entry to our national voting sites everywhere, where all you need is a birth certificate, prove you have an address for you to vote at, and that proof can easily come not through your social security number, but if you have a bank account, you're on SSI, you pay into unemployment, the proof is right there, as I keep saying over and over. So many proofs in the pudding. They're just being ignored. Now, it looks like, next up, I've got the Messages to the World, my Easter edition from 2021. And this was a short message. I remember I was going through one of my cancer treatments back then. I'm on my 3rd round of cancer just now. I'll be starting it presently within the next week or two. Humanity is at a financial pinnacle that has we as Americans controlling 20 to 25% of Earth's commerce and wealth. The average American does not know or realize. I think there's something like well, whatever the GMP is of the whole world, we control 20 to 25% of it. But we Americans are less than 6% of the world population. That means 5% of us control 1/4 of human wealth. But yet they say they need to chop down because they're giving us too much. And what they're giving us is money they collected from us, the citizens, the taxpayers. And then they talk about us being entitled to it like it's a 4-letter word. This must cease to exist. Okay. Now, out of that 25% of the world wealth, 12 to 15%, and they're trying to make it 20% of America's population, controls right now 85% of that wealth. Of the people, for the people, and by the people must not be potential. It must become kinetic. The people for honesty in America and the brothers and sisters of humanity, which I label as FIA, in tandem with our many associates, and I came up with the new one. This is the counter to MAGA. Let's try stating it as America Better for All Citizens, ABFAC. That can be the obvious counter to MAGA and this 2025 movement. Okay. And as we're in tandem with our other many associates who endeavor to do the best we can, as much as we can, as long as we can, until this mission's accomplished. We promote equitable equality that breeds, crafts, fashions, and enables citizens' individual pursuits of happiness. We have outlined the blueprint for all of our 180 plus socio-ethnic societies to have a guaranteed piece of the pie. Equal becomes equal when all receive the same. That was established in the Lincoln-Douglas debates back in the mid-1800s. Equal becomes equal, remember that, only when all receive the same, which is the problem with them wanting any kind of form of socialism. Receiving the same is social, and from what I can see and what I can perceive, there are too many people in America in power and influence who don't want people to receive the same. This, again, must cease to exist. When no one gets raked over the coals for the benefit of the few or the one. Again, there's only one kind of privilege, and it isn't white or ethnic or anything else. It's human privilege, period. If we, the fourth wheel of government, do not vote for what we want and desire for ourselves, then what we want and desire will not come to fruition. And let me say before I go on to this next page that the Constitution allows for 75% of the states to have a special election or on an election cycle. Ratify and vote in any amendment to the Constitution. Once 75% of the state houses adopt it, you don't need the Senate, the House, or the President to condone or sign it. It becomes law just because we, the people, got 75 states to say so. So we don't have to wait on them to deliver to us what we can deliver to ourselves. Yeah. So the naysayers ask, where's the money? The people for honesty in America answer, read New Deal 2020, Section 1. And I'll tell you right now where the money comes from. And I don't need the paper to do this. Okay, it's simple math. Right now, we spend how much putting people in jail for smoking marijuana? Think about saving all that work the cops, the courts are doing, all the time paying them judges, and legalize it as many states have, and put, say, a 15 to 20% federal tax on it. And instead of spending $1 billion or so a year, you'll make $5-10 billion a year. And it's an economic boom locally. Ask all the states who have done it. Just one instance. Number two, you want to solve the people making millions of dollars or billions of paying in at a rate that a school teacher or a policeman does? Make it simple. From now on, they don't get any more entertainment tax where they could spend all the money they want greasing the palms of their buddies and don't pay tax on it. If they're going to spend that on themselves, 20% of it has to go to the IRS. The same thing with expansion tax. The way McDonald's, Burger King, all of them, if you don't know as a commoner, these people can take as much as they want and invest in another franchise, and they don't pay any tax on that money to make millions all over again. From now on, tax them 20%. If they're going to get rich, they give the IRS, for the taxpayer paid purposes, 20% of it to better our lives. And number three that goes with it, they have to pay 20% period. That's their flat tax before any deductions. Now, on the people's side, we have figured out that if we have an American workers' dividend, which is like a bonus, like the franchise managers get at McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, it doesn't matter where, but only the manager gets it. Well, let's say a kid or anyone, kid or adult, works at 7-Eleven. On their shift, for every $1,000 that comes in, 2.5 cents, which is $25, is kept in escrow, and every 90 days, the workers who worked there get a dividend shared on hourly wages. So if everybody works 40 hours at the end of the month, it gets split, if there's 10 people, between 10 people, and gets paid every 3 months. I call it the American workers' dividend. Along with it, $15 an hour minimum. So do the math, as I keep saying. If you make, for 40 hours year-round, $31,200 a year, and you get that American workers' dividend quarterly, That means one person in America on the average, full-time worker, even at minimum, has a shot at making $36,500 a year. That's $100 a day for every day you live. I asked Washington and all these super economics people, are you telling me or trying to convince me that giving these people that much money won't solve economic woes? And now, for practical application, look at it this way. If we implemented that today, the lady sitting behind the camera today and all of the people her age, when they graduate from high school, they can get a minimum wage job, and two of them can pool together like Laverne and Shirley and live off of something like $70,000 a year, starting day one out of college. Like I said, we call our program Cures instead of Band-Aids. In front of Wayne Osano and Michelson Studios in downtown Northampton, we have two young people here, which this weekend I'm really looking for opinions of preteens, teens, 20-somethings, the people who aren't involved in the system yet, but can see it's a system that they don't want to be involved in the way it is, except to change it. We promote a 16-year-old vote. We promote getting rid of kindergarten. We promote preschool being taught from day one America. And we'll have grade school 1 through 5, middle school 6 and 7, and high school 8, 9, and 10. And 11th and 12th grade, like in Europe, will be for job skills, junior college, etc. Now that these young people know that, what backs it up that needs to change in society and Washington? And introduce yourself.
I'm Cam.
I'm Audrey.
And just speak your mind.
All right.
Either one of you.
I think the environment. Do we go closer? All right. I think the environment is one of the most important issues today. Unfortunately, most of our politicians, including those on the left, don't prioritize it over, economic gains. I think that's one of the most pressing issues today.
Yeah, I also think we have a big issue with gun violence that really needs to end. It's just happening more and more, and nobody has the power to do anything about it. And I think a system that can't, change people from literally just being shot in the streets is a system that works.
And in the schools, I might add. Let me throw one more thing at you. You may not know it, but the Senate can make its own rules. We're making constitutional amendments, have written them, that we're going to try to get on the ballot for 2024. That not only controls how they operate, but we have an honesty and equitable equality amendment, which means, like it was said in the Lincoln-Douglas debate, equal ain't equal unless people get the same. This is the problem in society. Probably before you were born, they had a thing they called Job Corps and affirmative action, but it was targeted for you had to be a minority or you had to be this or that. We want to make it so they bring back affirmative action, which means they try to find jobs for everybody who needs a job, regardless of your ethnicity or skin color, whatever. We also feel that the jails and the courts, they call it rehabilitation. They rehabilitate nobody. In fact, once they put you in there, they use it against you the rest of your life for you not to get this and that the rest of America can get. Do you have any opinions on how that needs to change? Because a lot of parents over the years, and I'm 70 years old, well, if I throw the kid in jail, he'll learn. What do you think he learns in jail?
I don't think he would learn much. I know there's a lot of issues with those coming out of prison, struggling to readjust to the free world. I also think the private prison system should be abolished. In many cases, the for-profit prisons, the profit aspect outweighs any potential justice being served in those prisons. Yeah.
And let me ask the young lady a pointed question. We also have it in the amendment that the courts cannot dictate how we live. They have to institute what the politicians vote in for us. I don't have to tell you what happened with the Supreme Court and is happening these days. Could I have a young lady's opinion on this?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, the Supreme Court is super outdated. There are like no term limits, and which I think is just like, I don't know, completely unethical. You have no like changing opinions that like develop along with what like society needs, and it's really just like the opinions of such a small group of people, and that like a body that small it can no way like represent, I don't know, society as a whole.
And young lady, you've just given me a new addition and adjustment to put in. Maybe we should put in 10, 12, 15-year limits on Supreme Court justices. I don't know where the years would... What do you think would be better? 10, 12, 15? Just getting opinion.
I think around that range, because I know the Supreme Court was intended to have longer serving officials, especially when compared to, like, if you look like the House of Representatives, where it's only 2 years. The Senate is, I believe, 6. Yeah. So
Presidents are only 8.
Presidents are only 8 at the most. Yeah. So I think
So give them 12. Yeah.
I would say give them 10 to 12.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll give them 12. We don't want to kick them out right away. But hey, in 12 years, you get to have your say. Then let newer voices, newer minds.
The country changes so much. Like, if it's hard to imagine what a different world we live in compared to America in, 2010, 12 years ago.
And
very
you were
different
there
country,
as a little kid, and it isn't only in Northampton. I put Northampton up as the poster child city for America, where it doesn't matter whether you're gay, straight, rich, poor. But there is one last question. Do you really think that a poor white kid has it any better off than a poor person, a black, brown minority?
No, not necessarily.
Not
there
at
definitely
all.
are like racial disparities in America, but I think ultimately the biggest issue is class. And I think it's more of an economic issue than a racial
Exactly.
issue.
Poor is poor. It don't matter what color you. And everybody who's poor needs help to get a leg up. Well, bless you for your opinions and your time. And what was your name again?
Audrey?
Cam.
And I bless you. We need the opinions of people in your age group, because what we're doing now is the world we're going to leave you and my grandkids and 3 great-granddaughters. I have 10 grandkids and 3 great-grand, and I fear for the world we're creating they're going to inherit. Thank you so much. Stay blessed. Glad to be back in Thorns in downtown Northampton. We're here with the manager of Share, as you can see, coffee shop. They have been here under many different names in the past, but they've been here about a dozen years, and they've helped step forward with helping us with our Tuskegee Toddlers Fund. Them, along with 9 other businessmen, have helped us collect $650 to seed the program. We give the money directly to the Survival Center, and they help the indigent and the needy provide dry butts and toddler nutrition. Before I go on, let me say our next show will be on the 27th. We're looking to get a place like the VFW, and we have many important people from the state coming, as in the mayor from here in Northampton, the police chief here in Northampton, the mayor from Holyoke, Lindsay Sabadosa, and a newcomer to state politics, the mayor of Salem, Mass, who's running for lieutenant governor. And this is just the seating, the $650. We're going to put on an event for $20 a ticket that includes dinner, a meet and greet with these dignitaries I just spoke of. But to get to what we're here for today, let the manager tell you a little bit about his shop and how he's glad to be part of this community.
Yeah. My name is Josh Wood Triplett, manager here at Share Coffee. We're, of course, so happy to help anybody in our community, so it was not even a question about helping out with a donation to this wonderful cause. And we're happy to support the community every day by just being here with smiling faces, delicious coffee, delicious egg sandwiches, and very happy to be part of the community.
And I'm sure you'll agree, Northampton is the melting pot of America's socio-ethnic and economic culture, because everybody here makes a minimum, I'd say, in this town of $12.50 an hour, if not 15 or more. The police chief walks up and down the streets at least once, twice a week and speaks to everyone. A dirty homeless person, a person who's dependent on alcohol or drugs. Even the business people speak to the people I just mentioned like they're human beings. We definitely have the society that all of America needs to adopt here. And I think that's why we're all happy to be part of this community, because there isn't anywhere like it, only in Northampton, but it needs to spread to everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I get off the economics, let me put the icing on the cake for this one. You have heard people like Bernie and Warren and people of the past mention there should be a millionaire and billionaires tax. Well, part of that $3 trillion forementioned shortly ago in the last few moments, a great percentage of it can come in one fly swat. We, the people, must constitutionally vote in and ratify to the Constitution that anyone fortunate enough, as Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens said, to make millions and billions off the backs of the unfortunates of America must pay 3% as a millionaire of whatever they accumulated yearly, which is $30,000 per million. I mean, you're really going to hurt a millionaire taking 30 grand from them, right? Not. Anyway, billionaires pay 5, and 5% of a billion is $500,000. So when they talk about, oh, I've got this many hundreds of millions, or this guy, oh, I've got tens of billions, do the math. That's why I keep going back to do the math. The one thing I didn't get to, though, with the people's part, they talk about Social Security, they talk about SSI. People only pay in 1.75 pennies per dollar into Social Security or unemployment. Well, you know, you give people $15 an hour minimum, I'll but guarantee you, right to the last man, woman, and child, they would gladly pay twice as much and pay 3.5 cents in on the dollar instead of 1.75 to get a check when they're on unemployment that they can live off of after paying 40 to 50 years into SSI. Like me, I'll tell you out front, after they jacked me for my insurance, the what they call Obamacare, I only bring in, after working 40 years, $1,118 a month spendable income. Now, my wife has income too, but it's piddly, but we do not live on more than 2,200 something a month. All of this should go up by a minimum of 20%. That's all I have to gain out of this. So when people ask, what's in it for you? A couple of $100 a month at best. But as I say, I do this for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. As the Bible and all enlightened ideologies say, the children shall inherit the earth. And in my case, our time has come and gone in the new economy that has to be built. So let me get on and just make a few points of how we keep these people honest. This was the first ballot resolution that I conceived, the Taylor Floyd Honesty and Equitable Equality Amendment. And I call it Extending the Visions of Our Forefathers. As John Adams, in a first trial here in Massachusetts, in Boston, on U.S. soil, that was not by British rule of magistrates. He stated, a system cannot end with truth that does not start with truth. And without mentioning names, I do not have to put out there who lied and said they didn't do it 32 or whatever times, 30-something times, and did it. And now the person who promotes these deceptions is trying to deceive America of only they know what's best for us. As I said when I took a break, only the elected can make laws for how we live. Not people who are appointed by the elected. And some of them aren't even citizens, not to mention anyone's name. So we will make all of this cease to exist. Okay. So, Section 1A. We the people state that as in 2009, any attempt to insinuate or perpetuate just say no to everything is in contempt of the people. People say, but this isn't about existing law. This is creating new constitutional law. So hello, please wake up and get on page at the beginning of this. Okay, we the people make it known and understood that plausible deniability is not acceptable or excusable, and any and all perpetuators of such action must be formally charged with contempt of the people. All local, state, and federal sentencing statutes must not and cannot be discretionary. The same crime must receive the same sentence. No considerations of choice of worthiness may apply. And as we know, if you have money, you have influence, you know someone in the courts, well, what's the lowest sentence? It doesn't matter, because the lowest will be the highest when everybody gets the same. Slam dunk, done there. Okay. C, also we, the people, insist that all elected officials at all levels of government must set up sites of any upcoming issues, voting sessions, The elected officials, as representatives of the people, must vote the people's wishes, not their own wishes for the people. Slam dunk again, done. We the people insist that all elected officials can and may no longer broker their constituents' votes. And it started with this. I realized this from the time I was in grammar school. They call it elementary school now. The whole idea, which goes on now, we've seen it in the last year or so. If you vote for this now, you owe me one. I owe you one. How can you owe your constituents' vote on something you don't even know what it's going to be? But yet you've sworn like a pledge that you will. This, again, must cease to exist. Let me see. Okay, Section 2. We the people require and hold all of the elected, those who are appointed by the elected, and all court, judicial offices, and officers to the West Point Annapolis codes of honor, duty, and justice. We the people seek empowerment of the now powerless masses of society with a check and balance system on and about all issues of credibility and honesty. Now wrap your brain around that for a moment. What avenue do we have anywhere in America that gives us a check and balance for what I was just speaking of? Well, let me clue you in on something that may have gone right past us all, many of us anyway. And that was, I believe, it was the first term of the guy in the White House now, where he demanded Senate hearings on the FBI. I believe it was Comey and then Strzok were their names. And what would you call him? Definitely not liberal senator from California by the name of Trey Gowdy. When his turn came, he said, and I will quote, to James Comey, the director of the FBI, "Sir, you have not taken your polygraph for 2 years. It's mandatory that you take one each year." Now, again, let that wrap around your psyche for a minute. So it boils down to this. The oversight committees of the Senate have been polygraphing all the people we pay to keep us safe, domestically and internationally. Okay, now that it's sunk in, which citizen wants to come on this show and tell me that if that's what they've been doing and that's where they put the credibility in keeping the world and our domestic America safe, that what's good for the goose is not good for the gander? There's times it isn't, but this ain't one of them. If they can polygraph the people who keep us safe, we the people must polygraph the people who oversee the people who keep us safe. Again, amen, slam dunk, we're done with that one. Okay. Now, We do seek a most even playing field within a due process where thousands are spent to convict while hundreds are spent providing innocence. All local, state, and federal sentencing statutes, like I say, can not and must not continue to be discretionary. The same crime must receive the same sentence. As I said before, no considerations of choice because the people overseeing the case, oh, they know this kid, let's give, no. You're gonna give breaks to people you know. Everybody has to get the same break or the same sentence. Within a, like I say, within an economic system that spends $10 to 1, it's basically, and we've been there, we feel like a toy poodle with no teeth in the ring with a healthy pit bull. This is not the fairness of court that John Adams strove to create with America's first trial in the 1770s. So, Section 3, all and any entities forementioned in the articles of content must submit to taking a written truth test of basic honesty and belief in equal justice. So, I came up with, and you can find it on my readings of the amendments. I'm not going to go into it now. Self-definition of character, which means we just ask them simple question, do they even believe in equality? And all yes or no. Do you believe a person with millions or billions of dollars should be able to spend individually 100 people who are commoners who can only give $250 or $2,500, even if they're a little bit well off. And while they're spending $2,500, 10 of them, and come up to $25,000, this guy's giving $250 million to the same candidate. Again, this must cease to exist. So, originally, I had thought if we leveled a 1% tax locally, tissue tax on paper products, with the proceeds exclusively assigned to a public defender squad, that it would help. Now, a penny's beyond helping. Some of this money they're using to buy off the government and government officials and get people elected must be diverted into a public defender squad. The same money they spend to convict must be the same money if someone passes a polygraph used to defend. So I will say amen for Passover, blessing for hopefully having a new pope that comes into this world who is as generous and genuine and loving and, what's the word for it? Level-minded, that all humans deserve the same decent respect. Hopefully we'll breed more of it in American society. Like I say, our socio-ethnic, economic societies in America need to be upgraded. And last thing I want you to remember, when we talk about our multiple 180 societies, social societies in America, every last one of them has a seat in the UN. We cannot make other people eat our soup seasoned the way we like to season it, nor can they make us eat their soup the way they season it. We all pray different, celebrate different, have different customs, even have different enlightened beliefs. But at the end of the day, just like I stated earlier, and this is the last piece to the puzzle, if we don't start teaching our preschoolers One America and keep it up through first, second, third grade while they're learning the basics before they really start learning about history and things that will get them ahead as an adult, we will never achieve it. Waiting until one turns 18, decides to join the military, if that person does, finally getting told, oh, you may have been biased, prejudiced, whatever, but now we're all Americans here, is hogwash. Not hogwash that we're all American, but why do you wait till they're grown and groomed and seasoned into whatever groove they've decided to accept to make this a standard? Start, like the old song says, teach your children well. It's long past time that we did it. Because Kent State and Wounded Knee didn't change a doggone thing. Revolution tried to change the past, killing Kennedys and Kings. It's time we realize that we can all be free to be what we want to be without any social fees. This must become a reality. Good night until the next time. As I mentioned something about my cancer and stuff, I have to have a heart procedure, and my third round of cancer is also back. So I'm going to have someone hopefully sitting and doing in some messages to the world and some Speak Up America for me. But I guarantee you, as long as I'm still breathing and can talk, by or before Juneteenth, Downtown Daniel will be back with you. But even if I can't be back in person, oh, I'll be writing. So, see you then. Bless you all. I can't say I bless American politics right now, but I do bless all of you good people. Bye-bye.
My name is Joe Ryan. I run Ryan Imported Car Repair in downtown Northampton. I've known my friend here, Dan Evans, since we were kids in grade school in Holyoke. Back in grade school in Holyoke, 1960s, we were in a much different society with, there was definitely segregation between black and white children. And, well, I never had any problems with my friend Dan, and I grew up in a family that we never talked really much about segregation. People were people. And, you know, as long as the person was a good person at heart, there was no reason to have any doubts about them. And now, being in Northampton, things are different, and, you know, we're still seeing each other and running into each other. And put it on hold for a sec. There. Hi. So, back to business. Now that that's taken care of, just to say that Northampton is a diverse community with many different cultures and many different people, but we all get along. You know, there's no hatred, there's no fighting. People can have differences of opinion, but we don't need to bring it to bloodshed or bring it to fighting in the streets. People do protest, and people do have their chance to speak out and say what they want to say, but it doesn't come down to fighting or any other kinds of vicious assaults or any other types of violence. So, you know, Northampton is, you know, a blend of many different people, many different cultures. Whether you're gay or black or white or whatever your religions are, you're still one of us. So, I'm glad to be here, and it's a great place to live. Thank you.
Okay, back up.
So we also are trying to raise money for toddlers and other homeless people and vets who need our support, and the homeless shelters in town. So if there's any way you can help, thank you.
Here I am, downtown Daniel, back again, getting ready to start our new season, the Monday after Easter. We've got some additions to our local sponsors. One of them's here at 25 Central. I'll let her introduce herself to the community, and she's also coming on board supporting our charity for the Tuskegee Toddlers Fund, which will be providing diapers and baby food to the Survival Center.
Hi there, I'm Katie. I'm the owner of 25 Central, and I'm really excited to come aboard as a sponsor.
And tell us about what you have in your shop.
So 25 Central is a staple in downtown Northampton. We have women's clothing and accessories. Something for every age, shape, and style is always what I like to say. We have a range of prices, you know, things starting at 25 cents and moving on up, and it's just fun, so there's something for everybody. Yeah.
And it's wonderful that there's finally a shop in downtown that somebody hears they can start under $1.
Yeah.
As we know, Acme's been the only one. It's good for them to have a twin sister.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
and you have a blessed endeavor.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to add that we carry My Hats, which is a local company or a local woman who knits them all by hand, and for every one she sells, she donates to the Survival Center, and we carry those year round.